An elderly woman who leads a solitary life in a nursing home unexpectedly receives visits from relatives after inheriting a fortune of $2.3 million, only for them to face karma and learn a lesson the hard way. My name is Lola Simpson, and at 86, my life was a monotonous routine at the Big Hearts nursing home. My days were all the same. I woke up early, ate my bland breakfast, and spent hours contemplating the garden through my bedroom window. It was a small garden, with some flowers and trees, but for me, it was a refuge, a piece of tranquility in the midst of the loneliness that seemed to have no end. My daughter, Natalie, and her husband, Roger, hadn't visited me in 6 years. 6 long years since I was left here, when my health began to decline. I remember well the day Natalie brought me here. She promised that she would visit me often, that she would never leave me alone. But those promises vanished into thin air, like wind-blown leaves. My only company was the memories kept in a small photo album. I spent hours looking at those faded images, remembering the times when we were a family. Tears often streamed down my face, a reflection of the pain and longing that consumed me. It was in one of these moments of deep sadness that I met Mary, a young nurse with a heart of gold. She found me crying and approached, worried. "Mrs. Simpson, can I help? Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice full of compassion. I wiped away tears and tried to force a smile. "I'm just remembering the old days, honey. My daughter hasn't visited me in 6 years. I wonder if it will ever come." Mary sighed and smiled at me. "Believe me, Mrs. Simpson, patience always bears fruit. I am sure that you will still find a lot of happiness. And crying doesn't suit a beautiful woman like you. Come on, I want to see a smile on that beautiful face." Those words warmed my heart. Mary was a light in the midst of darkness, and her gentleness was a balm to my soul. We started talking more often, and I felt less alone. She was a good listener, and over time I came to regard her as a friend. That night, Mary talked to her husband, Josh, about me. She wanted to take me to live with them, so that I could have a family again. At first, Josh hesitated, worried about finances and responsibility. But when he heard my story, he changed his mind, remembering his own mother, who had also spent her last days alone. "Let's find a way, honey," he said to Mary. And so, my life changed forever. I was welcomed by Mary's family with open arms. Her children called me Grandma, and I finally felt the warmth of home again. The sadness that had accompanied me for years began to dissipate, replaced by a feeling of gratitude and joy. My new life with Mary, Josh, and their children was simple but filled with love. I helped as I could, sharing stories and old recipes, and in return, they gave me what I needed most: affection and attention. And so, with a warm heart and a new family by my side, I began to believe that happiness was still possible, even for an old lady like me. Every day in Mary's house was a gift. The routine that was once gray and desolate at Big Hearts nursing home now had vibrant colors, sounds of laughter, and the warmth of a real home. My adopted grandchildren, Mary's children, filled the house with joy with their antics and incessant questions. It was as if I had been given a second chance to live. One morning, while making breakfast with Mary, I noticed that she was especially thoughtful. "What's wrong, honey? You look worried?" I asked, trying not to sound intrusive. Mary sighed and looked at me with eyes that sparkled with unshed tears. "Mrs. Simpson, I was thinking about how cruel life can be. The lady was left behind by her own daughter, but still, she has so much love to give. It makes me think about how some people just don't recognize the value of others until it's too late." That reflection touched a sore spot in me. For years, I waited for a visit from Natalie, for a phone call, anything that would show that she still cared. But this wait was never rewarded. "Honey, life has its own ways," I replied softly. "Maybe Natalie has her own reasons, but I'm not going to let it consume me anymore. Now I have you, and that's more than I could ask for." Mary smiled and wiped away a tear that flowed. "You are stronger than you think, Lola, and we are blessed to have her in our lives." That afternoon, while tending to the plants in the small garden, I received a letter. The envelope looked old, and the sender made me cringe. It was from Morgan, my half-brother, someone I hadn't heard from in years. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. "Dear Lola," the letter began. "If you're reading this, it means my time in this world is running out. I have always promised to take care of you, and it is for this purpose that I leave you my inheritance of $2.3 million. I hope this will bring comfort and security to his final days." My legs faltered, and I had to lean on the garden fence. Mary came running when she saw me in such a state. "What happened, Mrs. Simpson? Is everything okay?" "Mary," he said in a trembling voice, "I have received a letter from my brother. He left me a fortune. I don't know what to do." Mary's surprised look soon turned to a warm smile. "Let's find out together, Lola. You are not alone. Not anymore." And so, with a new chapter opening, I knew that the tears I shed were seeds for a future full of possibilities. The revelation of my half-brother Morgan's inheritance brought a mixture of shock and hope into my life. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions, with Mary and Josh helping me deal with the legal and financial aspects. But more than the money, it was Morgan's gesture that warmed my heart. He had kept his promise to take care of me, even though he was so far away. While we were sorting out the paperwork, Natalie and Roger learned of my sudden fortune. Certainly, news like this spreads fast. I didn't know how they would react, but a part of me hoped that maybe this event could bring our family back together. Deep down, there was still a spark of hope that Natalie could redeem herself. One afternoon, while Mary and I were baking cookies in the kitchen, I heard a loud knock on the door. Her heart raced, and Mary went to answer. "Natalie," she exclaimed, surprised. My daughter entered, followed by Roger, with a smile that seemed forced. "Hi, Mom. We heard the good news and came to see you," Natalie said, trying to appear casual. I watched them, trying to decipher their intentions. "Natalie, Roger. Is good to see you," I replied, measuring my words. "Can we talk?" Natalie asked, looking at Mary and Josh, who politely withdrew to give us privacy. They sat down on the sofa in the living room, and an awkward silence settled. "Mom, we're sorry for everything. We shouldn't have left you in that nursing home," Natalie began, her voice full of regret. "We want you to come home with us." I felt a mixture of sadness and distrust. "Why now, Natalie? 6 years have passed. 6 years of silence. And now that they hear about money, they show up at my door?" Roger tried to intervene. "Lola, we know we made mistakes, but we want a second chance." I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "A second chance? You left me alone when I needed it most." Mary and her family welcomed me and gave me love and respect. "It's not the money that matters, but the value of love and care." Natalie's eyes filled with tears. "Mom, please forgive me. I know we don't deserve it, but we want to make amends." I looked at my daughter, feeling an internal conflict. Could you trust them again? The pain of the past was still deep, but the possibility of reconciliation was also tempting. "Natalie, I need time. I can't just forget what happened, but maybe, in time, we can find a way back to each other." And so, a new dilemma presented itself. Money was not the real treasure, but the power of forgiveness and reconciliation. The journey to rebuild our family would be long and uncertain, but I was willing to try, step by step. The days following Natalie and Roger's visit were an emotional roller coaster. I tried to balance the hope of a possible reconciliation with the fear of being hurt again. Mary and Josh, always by my side, supported and advised me. They knew that, despite everything, the desire to repair the bonds with my daughter still burned in my heart. One afternoon, while I was in the garden with the children, we received another unexpected visitor. This time, it was Morgan's lawyer, Mr. Thompson. He came in person to discuss the final details of the inheritance and make sure everything was in order. "Mrs. Simpson, Morgan had great affection for you. He made sure to keep everything properly recorded so that there would be no complications," said Mr. Thompson, handing me some documents. As we went through the paperwork, I felt a weight being lifted off my shoulders. It was as if Morgan was there, guiding and protecting me, even after he was gone. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. It means a lot to me," I replied, my voice breaking. Later that night, I sat down with Mary and Josh to discuss the future. "I want to use this money to ensure the well-being of all of you. You have welcomed me without expecting anything in return, and I will never be able to fully repay that kindness. Mary held my hand, her eyes filled with tears. Mrs. Simpson, you are already part of our family. You don't have to worry about that. We are happy to have her with us. It was at that moment that I decided something important. I want to create a fund to help other elderly people who have been abandoned by their families. No one should have to go through what I went through. Mary smiled proudly. That's a wonderful idea, Lola. We can call it the Morgan Fund, after his brother. Over the next few days, I began planning the Morgan Fund. I wanted it to be a source of hope and support for the elderly who, like me, were left behind. We worked together to assemble the structure, with the help of Mr. Thompson. Meanwhile, Natalie and Roger kept trying to get back together. They visited me regularly, and we began to have deeper, more heartfelt conversations. Slowly, the barriers between us began to unravel, but trust was still something to be rebuilt. On one of these visits, Natalie brought an old photo of the two of us, smiling at a picnic. Remember this day, Mom? It was one of our best memories. I held the photo fondly, feeling a twinge of nostalgia. Yes, I remember. It was a happy day. Maybe we can create new memories like that. And so, between the efforts to build the Morgan Fund and the attempts to reconcile my family, I began to feel like I was finally finding my way. The currents of the past were still present, but now I had the strength and support I needed to face them and move forward. The days turned into weeks, and Natalie and Roger's visits became more frequent. Although resentment still hung in the air, he felt that, little by little, family ties were beginning to be restored. I was determined to give forgiveness a chance, because I knew that holding on to grievances I would never find peace. One afternoon, while Mary and I were in the garden planting new flowers, Natalie arrived with a serene expression. She would bring a picnic basket, just like we did when she was little. "Mom, I thought we could spend time together, like in the old days," she said, in a voice full of hope. I looked at Mary, who encouraged me with a smile. "Go, Lola. Enjoy this moment." We went to the nearby park, where we spread a towel on the lawn. The sun shone softly, and the cool breeze brought a sense of renewal. We sat there, side by side, while Natalie took sandwiches and juices from the basket. "Mom, I'm sorry for everything," Natalie began, her voice breaking. "I know I hurt you deeply, but I'm here to try to fix things." I took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of relief and pain. "Natalie, I've spent years waiting for you. Years of loneliness and sadness. But I also spent years loving you, and that love has never faded." She held my hand, and tears streamed down her face. I was so caught up in my own problems that I didn't realize how much I was hurting you. Mary showed me what true love and care is. "I want to be better, Mom. I want to deserve your forgiveness." Those words touched my heart in an indescribable way. "Natalie, forgiveness is a difficult path, but I'm willing to try. Let's start again, step by step." We returned home with a feeling of renewed hope. Roger, who was waiting in the living room, greeted us with a nervous smile. "How was the picnic?" he asked. "It was wonderful," I replied, feeling that a new stage was beginning. "We are taking it one step at a time." The weeks that followed were filled with moments of reconstruction. Natalie and Roger were actively involved in the Morgan Fund, and together, we worked to help those who, like me, needed a fresh start. One day, while we were all gathered for a family dinner, I noticed that love was blossoming again in our hearts. Mary and Josh were an essential part of this journey, and I could never thank them enough for everything they did. Over time, the painful past began to dissipate, giving way to a future where love and forgiveness prevailed. I was finally at peace, surrounded by the family that, in one way or another, I had always wished I had. And deep in my heart, I knew Morgan was smiling, proud of our journey of reunion and redemption. Over time, the Morgan Fund began to gain notoriety. We received letters and calls from grateful families, and it filled my heart with joy. Life at home with Mary, Josh, and the children became more and more harmonious, and the relationship with Natalie and Roger continued to improve. One day, while reviewing some letters of thanks, I received an unexpected phone call from Mr. Thompson, Morgan's attorney. "Miss Simpson, there is something important that we need to discuss. Can you come to my office tomorrow?" He sounded serious, and my curiosity was mixed with a slight nervousness. The next day, Mary insisted on accompanying me to the office. On our arrival, Mr. Thompson greeted us with a worried countenance. "Lola, we found out that there are disputes about Morgan's inheritance. Distant relatives are contesting the will, claiming that they are also entitled to the money." I felt a chill down my spine. "What does that mean, Mr. Thompson? Can we lose everything?" He took a deep breath. "It is possible that the process will drag on for a while. We will fight to ensure that Morgan's last will is respected, but we need to be prepared for a legal battle." Mary shook my hand, offering support. "We will not give up, Mrs. Simpson. We are with you." In the following days, the tension was palpable. Natalie and Roger became even more involved, offering legal and emotional help. "Mom, let's fight for this together," Natalie said, with a determination I hadn't seen in years. As the legal battle unfolded, life at home continued. I focused on what really mattered, the love and unity that were blossoming in our family. One night, while I was putting the children to bed, they asked me about my childhood and about Morgan. Telling these stories brought me comfort and strengthened my resolve. "You know," I began, "Morgan always said that family was the most precious possession we had. And now, I feel like I finally understand what he meant." As the fight for inheritance continued, I knew that regardless of the outcome, I had already gained something priceless, the chance to rebuild ties with my family and find a new reason to live. And that, no one could take away from me. The road ahead was uncertain and full of challenges, but with Mary, Josh, Natalie, and Roger by my side, I was ready to face any adversity. Together, we would learn that the true value of life is in love, forgiveness, and perseverance. The following months were a real emotional roller coaster. The legal process involving Morgan's inheritance consumed much of our time and energy. With each hearing, the tension increased, but so did our determination. Natalie and Roger were by my side at every meeting, and Mary and Josh always offered words of encouragement. In the midst of this storm, I found solace in the affection of the children and in the small joys of everyday life. One afternoon, while Mary and I were in the garden, we received unexpected news. A local reporter wanted to do a story about the Morgan Fund and the story behind it. "This can be a great opportunity for us to show the positive impact we're making," Mary suggested, excitedly. I agreed, seeing it as a chance to strengthen our cause and, who knows, positively influence the legal process. A few days later, the reporter, a young woman named Laura, arrived for the interview. We sat down in the living room, and she started asking me questions about my life, my family, and of course, Morgan. "It was hard, Laura," I began, feeling a lump in my throat. "I was abandoned by my daughter and son-in-law, but I found a new family in Mary and Josh. And when I discovered Morgan's heritage, I saw an opportunity to help others in the same situation." Laura listened to me intently, her eyes reflecting empathy. "Lola, your story is inspiring. I think a lot of people will be touched by her journey of resilience and love." The article was published the following week, and the response was overwhelming. We received numerous messages of support, and the visibility brought new donors to the Morgan Fund. Not only did this bolster our cause, but it also brought a breath of hope in the midst of the legal storm. One night, while we were all gathered for dinner, Natalie raised her glass in a toast. "To my mother, who never gave up and who showed us the true value of love and family. May we continue this fight with the same strength and courage." Sitting there, surrounded by people who meant the world to me, I felt a surge of gratitude. The storm had not yet passed, but we were sailing together, strengthened by the love and resilience that bound us together. And so, in the midst of challenges, I found the true essence of life, the ability to resist, to love, and to forgive. Regardless of the outcome of the process, I knew that we had built something more valuable than any inheritance, an unbreakable bond of family and solidarity. The morning sun bathed Mary's home in a golden light, reflecting the hope we felt in our hearts. Word about the Morgan Fund continued to spread, and the legal battle, while difficult, seemed less overwhelming as more people joined our cause. One afternoon, while I was in the garden, reflecting on all that we had been through, Mary approached with a lively expression. "Lola, you won't believe it. We have received a letter from an international foundation that wants to support the Morgan Fund. My heart leaped for joy. This is amazing, Mary. With this support, we will be able to help even more people. The weeks that followed were intense, but also full of moments of joy. The foundation sent a team to help us better structure the fund, and Natalie and Roger were tirelessly dedicated to making sure every penny was put to good use. One day, while reviewing plans with the team, I received a phone call from Mr. Thompson. "Lola, I have good news. The judge ruled in our favor. Morgan's inheritance is yours. No more disputes." I felt the tears run down my face. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You don't know how much it means to us." When I told the news to Mary, Josh, Natalie, and Roger, the house erupted in celebration. We hugged, laughed, and cried together. It was a moment of victory, not only cool, but also emotional. Later that night, as Natalie and I sat on the porch, she looked at me with an emotional smile. "Mom, you always believed that something good would come from all this." And she was right. "Thank you for never giving up on us." I held his hand, feeling a deep peace. "Natalie, we all make mistakes, but we also have the ability to forgive and start over. And that's the real strength of family." From that moment on, we dedicated ourselves even more fervently to the Morgan Fund. With the support of the International Foundation, we were able to open new support centers for the elderly and expand our services. Each new project was a celebration of Morgan's life and all the lessons he taught us about love and resilience. As night fell, I sat in the garden, watching the stars. I felt a soft presence next to me, as if Morgan was there, sharing our victory. "Thank you, brother," I whispered, "for guiding me and giving me strength." I promised to honor his memory every day. The storm had passed, and in its place, rays of hope shone brighter than ever. Our journey was far from over, but now we were ready to face any challenge together as the family we always wanted to be. The sun was rising, bringing with it a new day and new opportunities. The court's victory had given us a sense of renewal, and the Morgan Fund flourished with projects and initiatives that benefited many people. Mary's home was a real home, filled with laughter, love, and a shared purpose. One morning while we were having breakfast, Josh brought an exciting idea to the table. "Lola, Mary, I've been thinking, why not we host a community event to celebrate Morgan's life and the fund's impact? We could bring everyone we helped together and show how Morgan's heritage is transforming lives." Mary and I looked at each other, excitedly. "That's wonderful, Josh," I exclaimed. "It would be a perfect way to honor Morgan and thank everyone who supported us." In the following days, the house was in full activity. Natalie and Roger took care of inviting the benefited families, while Mary and I planned the details of the event. The children were excited to help, designing posters and preparing short presentations. On the day of the event, the garden was decorated with lights and flowers. People began to arrive, and soon the atmosphere was filled with laughter and lively conversation. I went up to the improvised stage to start the celebration. "Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are here to celebrate not only Morgan's generosity, but also the resilience and love that brought us together." As he spoke, he saw familiar faces in the crowd, each with their own story of overcoming. The Morgan Fund was created to transform lives, and none of this would be possible without the support and love of all of you. This event is a tribute to everyone who believes in our cause. Natalie took the microphone next. "I want to especially thank my mother, Lola. His strength and determination are an inspiration to us all. Thank you for never giving up on family, even in the most difficult moments." Tears streamed down my face as Natalie hugged me. Applause filled the air, and I felt a wave of gratitude flood my heart. Morgan would be proud of us. The evening continued with performances, emotional speeches, and a sense of community that I had never experienced before. Each story shared reinforced the importance of the work we were doing. When the event was over, I sat in the garden, stargazing. Mary walked over and put her hand on my shoulder. "It was an incredible day, Lola. Morgan would be so happy to see it all." I smiled, feeling a deep peace. "Yes, Mary. He always believed in the strength of love and unity. And today, we proved him right." As the night deepened, I stood there, reflecting on our journey. We had faced many storms, But now we were ready for any challenge. The future shone before us, full of possibility and hope. The months following the community event were filled with new achievements and challenges. The Morgan Fund grew every day, reaching more seniors and their families, providing not only financial assistance but also a sense of community and belonging. Mary's home continued to be a center of love and constant activity. One morning, while we were making coffee, I received a call from Mr. Thompson. "Lola, I have a surprise for you. Can you come to my office this afternoon?" Curious, I accepted the invitation, and a few hours later I was sitting across from Mr. Thompson. He handed me an envelope. "Lola, this is Morgan's last gift. He left a letter for you." My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. Morgan's words were simple but profound. "If you are reading this, it means that my mission has been accomplished. I want you to know how much I have always loved and admired you. The inheritance is just a symbol of the love and responsibility I felt for you. Use it to do good, to spread love, and to build what we've always dreamed of, a united and happy family. With all my love, Morgan." Tears streamed down my face as I read and reread the letter. I returned home with a renewed sense of peace and purpose. I gathered the family in the living room and read the letter aloud. The silence that followed was broken by Mary's smile. "He always believed in you, Lola, and so do all of us." Natalie, teary-eyed, took my hand. "Mom, let's continue to honor Morgan's legacy. Let's make this world a better place together." The days passed, and the Morgan Fund continued to prosper. We opened new support centers, organized community events, and offered workshops on elderly care. Each initiative was a celebration of the life and values that Morgan taught us. On the one-year anniversary of the community event, we held a big celebration in the garden. People from all over came to share their stories and thank them for the impact of the Morgan Fund on their lives. I went on stage, moved. Today, we celebrate not only the financial heritage, but the true heritage of love and unity that Morgan left us. Your spirit lives on in every act of kindness, in every smile shared, and in every life transformed. Thank you all for being a part of this incredible journey. As the applause echoed around me, I looked up at the starry sky and felt a deep connection with Morgan. His legacy was not just money, but love that continued to blossom in our hearts. With Mary, Josh, Natalie, Roger, and the kids by my side, I knew we were ready for any challenge. Our family, built on resilience and love, was living proof that the true value of life lies in the connections we create and the positive impact we leave on the world. And so, Morgan's legacy would endure, inspiring generations to follow a path of love, compassion, and unity. Share this story with your friends. It can brighten their day and inspire them. See you in the next exciting story.